This video is going to go over the car buying experience from our point of view in the Pacific Northwest. My wife and I have both been pretty successful in our careers and very frugal when it comes to spending on anything outside of what we consider assets. So we just drove around basic cars. Chevy Spark for myself. I think my wife had she had a Kia Niro, and just pretty average cars. And at one point we decided that we were done driving these econo boxes and we wanted to drive something more exciting. Life's short. So myself, I've always loved the Corvettes. Growing up extremely poor, Corvette was something that was obtainable, but yet kind of a higher tier car, considering where I came from. So the C8 Corvette came out in 2020, and I was immediately blown away with the looks of that vehicle. To the point where every time I seen one, I was just obsessed with it. And so, fast forward 2021, we decide that we're going to go and try to put an order in for one. We figured we had a year. We could put a deposit down, kind of spec out what we wanted, and then just simply order it in. So myself, I don't typically dress up. I worked in an office environment, and obviously I would dress up for that as a manager. But outside of that, I would just wear just normal clothes that I'm painting in or doing maintenance on some of the buildings that we own. And that's exactly the attire I wore. And that may be the reason why this particular dealership decided not to even give me any time of the day, basically. So we only have one option in Olympia for Chevys. So as I walked into this dealership, straight ahead, I remember to this day, there's a desk as soon as you open the door, straight ahead. And there's a young kid sitting at it. And I know how the system works. You get ups, and people don't want to waste an up if they don't feel like the person's going to buy a car. And so no one will get out of their seat to assist you, ask you questions, because they'll lose their up if you don't buy anything. And also with placing an order on cars, it's not really a sale. It's a sell, but it's a sell at a later date. So it doesn't really count towards their current commission, at least when I sold cars. Nonetheless, this kid directly in front was sitting there at his desk, and I walked in and no one was helping. No one was even looking in my direction. That one person caught eye contact. You know how that works. Don't ever make eye contact. So the guy made eye contact with me, and then I kind of started wandering over towards him, and he's, what can I help you with? And my wife and I were like, well, we'd like to put an order on a Corvette. And the guy, I kid you not, just starts laughing at me. And I'm like, what's so funny? And he's like, well, it's going to be about 4 years before you can get one. And I'm like, well, you're crazy. Like, I figured a year. And so I was like, okay, well, that's fine. Can I still put my order in? He's like, we're not taking any more orders. So I'm like, all right. It is what it is. Next car we tried to buy shortly after that was electric car. So my wife liked the Niro. She loved the fuel mileage. And then we seen that Cadillac was coming out with a Lyric. So we were watching videos, getting hyped up on it. We're like, well, let's get you a new car too. So on Cadillac's website, you submit to a dealership nearby. Well, this dealership nearby also happens to be the Chevy dealership that we tried earlier. And so once you submit your information, it would say, we'll contact you within 24 to 48 hours. Like, okay. And we just went on our lives. It was about a week, and I asked, like, did you ever get a call from the Cadillac dealership about putting an order in? And she, of course, responds with no. So I was like, just call them. So she gives them a call, and on the phone they're like, well, we're only getting allocated 13 of these things, so they're already sold. Sorry. And she's like, oh, well, that's a bummer. She's like, I just expected you guys to call. The fact you guys wouldn't call is kind of rude, but whatever. So we then attempted to check and see if we could find them around the country. Of course, they're sold out everywhere. We couldn't get them. So we just kind of let it. No, we didn't let it die. We ended up actually looking at the Ford Mach E. Of course, the GT was coming out, and we wanted more power. Like, what's the point of driving one of these things if it doesn't have any oomph? So we, contacted some dealerships about test drives. Of course, they're like, well, we can't let you test drive it. Like, that's a run-of-the-mill car. Like, can't test drive it? Okay. So we ended up getting one up in Tukwila that would let us drive a non-GT. And it drove nice, and it was it was a really nice car, but we wanted a GT, so we're like, we're just not going to buy this one. So we find at our local dealership, Ford dealership here in Olympia, has a GT, a black one. Not necessarily the color we wanted. We still like that rapid blue. We're kind of on that blue kick right now, as I'm wearing blue right now. And so we contacted them, and we try to set up something to like check out the car. And they're like, well, we already got people already test driving it, and we're not going to know it. It's probably going to be sold by the time you get here. So I'm like, well, we're still going to come check it out. So we get there, and the dealership was out on a test drive with it currently. So we were looking at, I think they had like a non-GT model, and we were like, well, we're just not interested in this at all. And then the guy's like, well, you do know there's a market adjustment for these things, right? So we're like, what are you talking about? So they were literally throwing on so much money that the car, I believe the base prices were in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. But these GTs, they were trying to sell for 90. And I'm like, you guys are just crazy. Like, why would I buy this? I'll go get a Tesla Model X, like Plaid, for almost this price. Like, and it's way faster and cooler and got autopilot, the whole nine. Like, you guys are out of your minds. So the guy's like, okay, bye. So then we left, and we simply just went up to the Tesla dealership and ordered a new car. Just as simple as that. As a matter of fact, they put us on their website, and we placed the order through their website, which we could have done from a mobile phone. And that was it. But then again, there's another domestic car manufacturer dealership that just isn't interested in selling cars. Anything that's not base model. So then fast forward, we like to go to car shows, check out things, and my wife runs across this Nissan GTR, R35. And she asked me what it is. She's never seen one before. And she absolutely falls in love with this thing. So we were starting to look at the used market on them, and being down as low as like about 40 to 50,000 for like the first year. That's what I was looking at. Well, she was online building one out. As you imagine, there's not much to build on those. It's either premium or Nismo. Of course, she chooses Nismo. She calls and tells me that she built one out and guessed the price. And she told me about how aneurysm. I'm over there looking at $50,000 used ones, and she's already spec'd one out for $300,000. I'm like, well, that's just not going to happen. So I was like, I like the 2017 or newer, and the prices on those were 100 plus. So I'm like, why would I buy that if I can go get a brand new one? So we started contacting the dealerships around. We contact the only Nissan dealership in Olympia. Hey, can we place an order for a GTR? Nope. Okay. They're like, well, we've only sold 2 ever. So, yeah. I'm like, okay, I guess you don't want to sell a third one, whatever. So I contacted a Tacoma dealership. No, but we have one that's possibly coming in on consignment if you want to buy a used one. I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay that kind of money. I just want to buy a brand new one. So then we contact all the way up to Seattle. No one would take an order for a GTR in this state. So we jump online, and I see that the 2024 model, there wasn't very many in the dealership. So we ended up finding one in Oakland, and that's another story. We'll talk about that later. But then, you know, after we buy this car, we drive it up. I get a call from the Tacoma dealership. Hey, yeah, if you're truly interested, we'll put an order in for you. Like, too late. Like, you guys don't think I'm serious when I'm trying to buy these cars, but okay. Next car that we tried to buy was a ZR1. So, kind of step back. So, the Lyriq was in the background, right? So, we were waiting for our Tesla currently. And we're like, you know, let's just go and check out these options they have on this Lyriq, because maybe we'll just order one in the future. And so I go to that same Chevy dealership in Olympia, and I ask for the brochures. And typically they'll have all the breakdowns of like all the options and everything. And they point me in the direction, and there's really nothing you can add to them. They're just one item. They just talk about in the brochure like how awesome the sound system is, etc. So that was kind of a waste of time. But as I'm leaving, I hear him say, you know, like, yeah, we got you on the list for your Lyriq, and you know, we'll let you know when it comes in. And I'm like, what did that guy just say? So I go over there. I'm like, did you just take another order for a Cadillac Lyriq? He's like, yeah, that person just placed an order on one. I'm like, really? Because I tried to order one like a few months ago, and you guys told me you guys weren't taking any more orders because you sold your allocations. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, because they're number 69. And I'm like, at that point, I just lost it. I was like, you guys got to be kidding me. Like, no one here wants to sell any cars. And then when I come in here, you guys don't even take me serious. And at the time, now there's Corvettes sitting in the showroom floor, the C8 Stingrays. And I'm like, you guys didn't want to sell me one of these? Told me 4 years. And now look at this. You got your showroom full. And then they're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who you talked to, but I'll sell you one. I'm like, too late now. So we leave. And, you know, later on, time goes and the ZR1 comes out. So this is kind of the ZR1 story. So I was like, we don't have any options in Olympia. So the ZR1 comes out, or is announced, and I'm like, you know, I'm going to go put an order on one. That was a tough sell to my wife, trying to get her to let me buy that car. But, you know, I was like, well, we got a year to figure it out, probably, or more. Let's figure this, let's put this order in. So I go to the local Chevy dealership again. And again, I dress the same way I always dress. I think they're seriously just profiling people. I really do. And I walk in the door and no one wants to give me any like help. So I finally just like, hey, can you guys help me? Like, and then they're like, oh yeah, what do you need? I was like, I was wanting to see about getting my name on the list to buy a ZR1. The dealership was like, I don't know if we're taking any more orders. This thing was just announced like the day before or something like that. But you know, the hype, so people throw their names out there. So I was like, well, is there any way you can find out? He's like, well, our Corvette buyer is here, so yeah, we'll go ask him. And so the guy goes in there, waits a little bit, comes back out. No, we already got 5 on the list. We're not going to take any more orders. I'm like, you guys got to be kidding me. Like, every single car I try to buy from you guys, we're not taking any orders. So I'm like, all right. Again. And now, this time, their showroom floor is filled with C8 Stingrays and Z06s. But we'll sell you a Z06. Like, oh yeah, I want a Z06. When I really, you know, I'm going to spend that kind of money, I want to spend a little more and get the higher trim model. I don't care about a Z06. So I was like, I'm not buying anything from you guys. So I went home and immediately went online and found a dealership on the East Coast that sells them at sticker. And I knew they were going to play games here in the Northwest, you know, depending on how bad they're trying to rip you off with market adjustments. But this one is a just a non-market adjustment kind of dealership, just MSRP. So I threw my name on the list, and I didn't get a response. So I'm like, oh, I shot it again. They're like, you don't need to send it again. They actually emailed me back, so you don't need to send it again. We got your name. We'll let you know. And that's basically it. I'm still waiting to hear back on that, but out of all the cars we've bought, the only ones we've bought in this actual state have been the Tesla, which was at that Tesla place in Fife, as well as just used cars. Like, the new car market here is pure garbage. Like, they play games with MSR, with market adjustments. They never want to take your order. Anything outside of a base model car, they're playing games with. I guess there's one more story. I tried to buy a Toyota Supra at one point, and I wanted the 3-liter before they went out of production. And I called every dealership in the Pacific Northwest, Toyota dealerships, and none of them would take my order. We see online that Toyota was killing production for the Supra due to lack of demand. And I'm like, it's because your dealerships aren't putting these orders in. There's demand if they quit playing games. So they want to fix it, get rid of these dealerships, or have a direct from factory ordering system. Ford would have sold me a Mach E. Toyota would have sold me a Supra. Chevy would have sold me at least one C8 in this state, and possibly even the ZR1. But no dealerships around here, they're not serious. So let's hear your stories. And if you like this, like and subscribe.